Hello everyone, how has your day been? Dr. Kester here once again. I I mentioned yesterday that I would be introducing you to the ultrasound machine today. So as part of our What is Ultrasound series, we're going to introduce you briefly to the ultrasound machine. Alright, here we go. An ultrasound machine usually consists of a monitor like you're seeing here. It consists of a monitor, the operating console where you have all the buttons, and then it consists of the transducers. So these are basically what you are going to have in all the different types of ultrasound machine you are going to see. It's going to have a monitor like the one here. It's going to have a control panel. It may or may not have this second screen, but it definitely would have probes. There are different kinds of probes here, and we'll talk about them in a moment. Now, the monitor of the ultrasound machine is the display unit. This is where what you are scanning will show. Okay, it will show usually in this field of view. This display portion is called the field of view. As time goes on, we'll discuss the different shapes of field of view and what they mean. And now, still on the monitor will be displayed the name of the patient, if you have typed it in, the frequency that you are scanning with, the decibel, the power, and things like that. Okay, so every ultrasound machine will have a monitor. Okay, this particular machine has a secondary monitor for further controls. Not all ultrasound machines have that. Okay, but let's talk about the things that all ultrasound machines would have. Now, in the operating console, there are lots of buttons. Okay, but today we're going to talk about the buttons that you must have in every machine. Okay, the first button we're going to talk about is the power button, right? The power button. Every machine would have a power button with which you put it on or put it off. Okay? Now, the next button that we'll talk about is the freeze button. On this machine, this is the freeze button, and you can see it is labeled freeze button. Okay, that's the freeze button there. What the freeze button does is that it freezes your image while you are scanning so that you can take measurements or take a closer look or what have you. But every machine, every ultrasound machine would have a freeze button. The next button that we'll talk about today is the measurement button. Okay, every ultrasound machine would have provision for you to take measurements. As you will quickly become aware when you start scanning, there are lots and lots of measurements in ultrasound. So we must have a measurement button. The third button we're going to talk about is the gain button. In ultrasound, we refer to brightness as gain. So there are two types of gain buttons in ultrasound. One is the total gain. The total gain button is usually attached to the 2D button, which we'll talk about the 2D subsequently. Now, the total gain button, when you activate it, makes everywhere on the screen brighter. Okay, as you can see, when you reduce it, it makes everywhere on the screen darker. Now, the other type of gain is what we call time gain compensation, the TGC. which is what you see here. The TGC selectively makes the place that you are adjusting to be brighter or darker. For instance, if I want the upper part of the screen, the near field to be darker, I will adjust it. As I adjust on the TGC, it becomes darker. If I want it to be brighter, I can adjust that on the TGC as well. Okay, so now these are the major buttons that you require to start off your scanning. Now I'm going to add one more button for today so that I don't overwhelm you, and that button has to do with selecting the type of scan that you do. In some machines, it will be called the preset. Okay, but in this machine, it's attached to the probe type. So you select the type of probe you want to use. Now, this is a probe. This is another. This is the linear probe. This is the curvilinear. This is the linear probe. This is the transvaginal probe. This is the cardiac probe. So once you select a probe, like if I select this, it brings out different types of scan for you to select from. Okay, so if I make another selection, you see that the types of scans available change. Okay, now this is different for different machines, but that's the general concept, that before you start scanning, you tell the machine the type of scan you want to do. Now we'll leave the buttons at that. The next thing you need to quickly know is that the scanning is done with probes. These are called probes or transducers. Okay, this is what you place on the patient's body. Okay, on this machine we have 4 probes. One, this is the cardiac probe. The next one is the linear probe, and then we have the curvilinear probe. Here is a transvaginal probe. In the next video, I'm going to talk about these probes. How do you select them? What are they used for? Okay, so that's what we're going to do in the next video. So I want you to, after watching this video, send in your questions if anything is not clear, so that we can make it clear. Thank you.